Hi there, Mike Holmes at ReachKeep.com and 5 Minutes to Better Sunday, How to Be a Better Culture Manager. This is the idea of managing the interaction that your church has with culture. The first one is really this idea of you need to manage the interaction of your church and your people with culture. There are many things that our culture has given us that we didn't have before. One of them is just the prevalence of screens everywhere. You have a screen in your pocket, screens at the airport, screens in churches, screens everywhere. Nothing wrong with having screens. Take time to use those things wisely. One of the things that happens on those screens that is very important is what we would call relevancy or kind of freshness. The idea, all news is about fresh news, brand new stuff. The reason YouTube is so big is because of so much of it is fresh and relevant. It's not really high quality. It's just fresh and relevant. So make sure that somewhere managing your culture that you use a lot of screens and that you are putting on fresh, relevant photographs from the activity last week, photographs from the banquet you did on Thursday night. Get those things out there and put those in different places where people can see them, whether they are on a Facebook or your church's website, which you can change up regularly, or you can put those on a screen and show them somewhere. Another area of interaction with culture is the idea of using the engagement aspect. Everybody wants to be engaged with their smartphone, using the smartphone a good way. We have a whole thing you probably have seen called How to Use Your Phone at Church. But the idea of just challenging people to do stuff on their phones, to download the Bible on their phone just so they can listen to it, download apps on their phone. There are parenting apps, all sorts of different things. And we actually review those on Sunday morning. We'll take a few moments instead of doing, some of the special music. And a lot of churches have a lot of music. We've kind of tended to cut some of that out and spend more time giving relevant things and to deal with like how to use a new app that will help you with your preschooler, how to use, how to track your teenagers and know where they're going and what they're doing. Parents are itching for that stuff, and our culture is not answering the questions or at least giving the solutions to where they can find that. So let's let the church do that. So those are some great things that you can do to address culture and help your kind of the interaction with culture within the folks in your church. Another thing that we have done is on Facebook is put pictures of events on Facebook, but also the notes of the sermon can go onto groups, or you can put notes on the night before, say I'm talking about this, and just create some of that interaction. It's not hard to take your sermon pastor on a Friday or Saturday night and come up with a couple questions, put them up, and let people kind of, batter those things around a little bit and think about them. That is a great way to stimulate your crowd. And then we actually do small group questions and Bible study questions. We put those on Facebook as well. And there's, 6 or 7 of those. They're a little bit deeper, and they look up this verse, read that. And for some people that are missing, those are great ways for them to interact. But we need to manage the interaction of our church with the culture. Another thing I think that we can manage that is really important is just this idea of openness, that we would not be so closed-minded on everything. And I'm not talking about values from the Bible, but I'm just talking about some of the things like, for example, your church's finances and some of those things. Make those things readily available. Let people know if they have any questions. I often tell people, say, hey, if you would like to, come look at my laptop, you can look at my laptop, you can look through my stuff. I don't have any secret stuff. Letting people know that is a very, very important thing. Another thing for openness here is just the idea of showing your passion, letting your passion come out for different things. In your messages, don't be afraid to get passionate. Don't be afraid to take some of your announcements and some of those things and just pour your heart into those things. We've talked about announcements before, and the idea of, your doctrine is what you preach, but your announcements are about what you're doing about what you preach or what you believe. And showing some of that is a powerful thing. And also just the idea of using illustrations that are, about you, that let people know that you're a human and some of that. Some pastors, and for some reason, they're so high and they can't really kind of come down. And I think that's an area where young people are wanting to see a real person up there. So just a level of openness, try to manage some of that. So anyway, this is Mike at 5 Minutes to Better Sundays. And again, this is the idea of culture, making sure that our culture is managed the right way. And that would be like the culture within your church. You can do that and using screens and using some of those things. The other one would be the idea of this openness and just being involved there. So thanks for being with us today. This is 5 Minutes to Better Sunday at reachkeep.com.